podcast is brought to you by Daba, your most comprehensive platform for investing in African stocks, bonds, and managed funds. You can download the Daba app on your favorite Google and Apple app stores. It was a very strong week for the BRVM. From February 23 to February 27, the regional stock exchange confirmed a clear upward trend, with broad gains across key indices and strong performances from several major stocks. Let's begin with the big picture. The BRVM Composite Index rose 3.81% to close at 417.71 points. The BRVM 30 Index advanced 3.99% to 194.81 points. The BRVM Prestige Index also gained 3.39%, ending the week at 164.82 points. Why does this matter? Because this was not a narrow rally. It was broad-based. 37 stocks moved higher during the week, while 10 declined. That tells us something important. Investor confidence is not limited to just one or two large companies. The buying interest is spread across multiple sectors of the economy. Now, here's another interesting detail. Trading volumes fell 47.57% compared to the previous week, with just over 11.3 million shares exchanged. However, total transaction value increased 18.64%, reaching over 10.7 billion CFA francs. So what does that mean? Fewer shares traded, but at higher prices or in larger value stocks. In simple terms, investors were more selective. They focused on quality names and deployed capital more strategically. That is often a sign of a maturing and more disciplined market. One of the most actively traded stocks during the week was Sonatel Senegal, with more than 1.431 billion CFA francs in turnover. When large capitalization stocks are active, it strengthens the credibility of the overall market move. Now let's turn to the top performers. Solibra Côte d'Ivoire delivered the strongest weekly performance, rising 24.2% to close at 44,075 CFA francs. This move was supported by exceptional semi-annual 2025 results. Net profit increased by over 175%. When a company significantly exceeds market expectations, investors quickly reassess its valuation. That is exactly what happened here. For investors, this highlights something essential. Earnings matter. Strong profitability growth can drive powerful price revaluations. The second best performer of the week was Safca Côte d'Ivoire, which gained 20.72% to close at 6,000 CFA francs. What is driving Safca? While detailed quarterly results are still being digested by the market, investors appear to be anticipating improved operational performance. In agro-industrial businesses, profitability depends heavily on raw material pricing, export volumes, cost control, and macroeconomic stability. A 20% weekly move is rarely random. It suggests the market is positioning ahead of improved fundamentals, stronger margins, or favorable commodity trends. But here is where context becomes crucial. Let's look at a recent example in a related sector. Société Ivoirienne des Tabacs, listed under the ticker STBC, released its Q4 2025 earnings. Sales volumes increased 4% in the fourth quarter, reaching 3,000 units. Revenue rose 8% to 72.9 billion CFA francs. That sounds positive, right? But operating profit fell 61% year over year. Net income declined 74% to 5.1 billion CFA francs. Why? Higher excise duties introduced in January 2025 increased costs. Exceptional charges also weighed on profitability. So what is the lesson? Revenue growth alone is not enough. What truly matters is margin protection. You can grow with sales, but if taxes increase or input costs rise faster, profits shrink. And when profits shrink, long-term valuation is affected. This is why Safca's rally must be viewed carefully. Investors may be pricing in better margins, improved pricing power, or stronger export conditions. But upcoming financial releases will be critical to confirm whether the optimism is justified. That is how disciplined investing works. You connect price movements with financial data, cost structures, and regulatory development. SODCI was the third best performer of the week, rising 19.15% to 7,695 CFA francs. This reflects renewed interest in infrastructure and utility-related companies, which often benefit from economic stability and public investment. Now, let's shift to the bond market. The capitalization of the bond segment increased slightly by 0.07%, reaching 11,478.1 billion CFA francs. However, transaction activity slowed significantly. Total bond turnover declined to approximately 1.4 billion CFA francs compared to over 7.2 billion the previous week. Most of the activity concentrated on the CRRH UEMOA 5.95% 10-year bond. It represented over 81% of total bond transaction value during the week. What does that tell us? Investors are still seeking stable income. A 10-year bond issued by a supranational institution provides relatively attractive yield with moderate duration risk. In addition, several 8-year and 10-year bonds in the market currently offer yields above 8% at maturity. For conservative investors or those seeking portfolio diversification, this is meaningful. Bonds provide recurring income and reduce volatility compared to equities. So what are the key takeaways from this week? First, the equity market momentum is clearly positive. Second, strong stock performance must be backed by sustainable earnings growth and margin stability. Third, bond yields remain attractive for income-oriented strategies. Looking ahead to the week of March 2nd to March 6th, several equity opportunities have been identified across multiple sectors. Some stocks still trade below their intrinsic value estimates, offering potential upside. Others may experience consolidation after recent strong gains. Investors should monitor 3 elements closely this week. 1. Whether trading volumes increase alongside prices. Rising volumes confirm stronger conviction. 2. Upcoming earnings releases, particularly margin trends. 3. Continued activity in the bond segment, especially in intermediate duration instruments. To receive weekly recommendations, exclusive analysis, and benefit from reduced investment fees, subscribe to Daba Pro. With Daba Pro, you do not simply follow the markets, you stay ahead of them. That's all for today's episode. Thanks for listening to the Daba Markets Talk podcast. We'll be back next week with another update. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating, follow us, and share with friends. Remember, this information is for educational purposes. Always do your own research or consult with a financial advisor before making investment decisions. And download the Daba app on your App Store to start investing in African stocks, bonds, and manage portfolios through your phone and find other helpful content. Until next time, keep learning and keep growing your financial knowledge.